What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Barnabas Brushes, my Miniature Mondays. My name is Patrick. I play the character of Barnabas on Elite Encounters, which is a Pathfinder 2nd Edition role-playing game live play that streams every Tuesday right here on Twitch from 6 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern. You can catch their channel. The banner's up there above me. Their actual channel link is down below in my recommended channels. You can check out our 2nd edition Pathfinder live play on Tuesdays. We've got our Soul Severed campaign that's been running now for about a year. And we also have a Psychic Promise campaign that is kind of an ancillary campaign we play once a month. And stay tuned to that because we are probably looking to add a second full campaign, a second show on a second night. So we look forward to adding even more content for you guys to catch up with us and enjoy. In the meantime, be sure to check out our channel there, as well as our videos on demand that drop every Friday on YouTube. And you can also stream the Elite Encounters campaign as a podcast on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Just search for Soul Severed. In the meantime, what we're doing here is we are painting miniatures to use either for that Elite Encounters live play, which we actually like to use miniatures and maps in our role-playing game there. We play live in studio. And what we're also doing here is, for my Miniature Monday, is I paint commission miniatures and or miniatures for my own collection. So, what's happening, everybody? Thanks for coming in, Lenny and several. Glad to see you guys here. My chat window here is a little buggy, but I can see you guys. So, welcome aboard. Welcome. So tonight I thought I'd do, since this is Halloween week and Halloween is absolutely my favorite time of year, I thought I'd maybe do something just a little bit spooky. I guess all of our monsters are spooky. Oh, hey, there's Sunshine too. Hey, welcome aboard. Glad to see you. I guess all the miniatures I've been painting for Wednesday's show for the Barnabas brushes, uh, those are pretty spooky. Those have been all undead creatures to use for our Psychic Promise campaign, maybe for other campaigns, who knows. But tonight I wanted to carry that on into this show and do something a little spooky. So I've got a couple commission pieces here that are actually from the HeroQuest board game. I'm going to be working on basically a mummy and a zombie warrior here. So I've taken the liberty to go ahead and prime these up with a black prime. You can see on the base here that these kind of come as an off-white plastic figure in the board game. So I've done a quick black prime on the figure itself. The bases kind of have a sloppy prime. That's all right. I'm going to re-go over those off air just to even those out. But I'm focusing today on the actual figures as opposed to the bases. So we're going to focus on those using our typical Grisaille prime method or slap chop prime. So those of you who are already familiar, we start off with a black prime. And I like to use Vallejo's primers. This is just a polyurethane acrylic mix, and it comes in plain black. And what we're going to do is we're going to prime that up through a gradient, through a middle tone gray, to a white, to capture all those shadows into midtones, into highlights as an underpainting or a grisaille. It's pretty popular colloquialism right now to call that the slap chop prime. Some people like saying slap chop, other people they hear that and they cringe. But we're just going to call it slap chop for the sake of ease and to move things along. Grisaille sounds just maybe a little pretentious. I don't know. So when we're doing this, we're basically going to use a zenithal technique. So we're going to pretend our light source is shining almost straight down onto the top of the miniature. We're going to recreate that sense of light and shadow by dry brushing from a top down in a top down fashion. When we're dry brushing, we're going to use a very simple round brush. There are dry brushes on the market available that you can get, from various vendors, various miniature painting companies. Army Painter comes to mind. But I just use real cheap makeup brushes out of the makeup aisle at any department store. I picked this brush up for $2. So you can't beat that, and it lasts me a good long time if you keep it clean. It's got some nice bristles to it, nice rounding. This is what people use for eyeshadow blending, and it works great for our Grisaille slap chop prime, if you will. So to start that, we're going to first of all not knock over the boxes under my desk. We're going to do our middle tone again, like I said, with a gray primer. And for that, we'll use, again, the Vallejo acrylic polyurethane blend. This is just plain gray. And we're going to cover most of the surface of that black. We're going to get a nice coverage of this gray, leaving just a very little bit of that black in the shadows. Some people will skip the black and go right into a gray prime all the way to the white highlight. And that creates a brighter model, creates a flashier model, I guess, a little bit more stylized. I prefer that kind of dark, gritty look. And I think my cat Pauline also prefers the dark gritty look, as she's here to tell me, crawling all over my lap while I try to paint, right? Yeah? Are you ready to do some slap chop primes? All right. See you later. I think she just likes the sound of the bottle shaking up. All right, so I've got a dry palette over here off camera that we're just going to load up this gray primer in. And when we dry brush, what we're going to do is load up our bristles with a good amount. Yeah, she is a pretty good cat. She's very curious. She's only about 5 months old now, so still very curious and into lots of things, and a fearless insect hunter. Okay, so like I said, we're going to load just the a little bit of the bristles with the gray primer. You can see that I loaded up about half the brush. You don't want to get it fully loaded up into the metal part there, just half the bristles. Then we're going to brush that out onto a dry surface like a paper towel or a dry brush palette to get almost all of that pigment off. In fact, you want to keep brushing until it looks like nothing else is coming off of the brush onto your surface. So your brush will end up looking like it almost has nothing on it. But as you guys know, when we start actually dry brushing down on our model, we're going to start to see this gray come off on the texture of the figure. So again, we're going to use just a light top-down motion, just kind of flicking the brush bristles downward on our model, creating that sense of shadow and highlight. And you can see as I'm doing this, that gray is already starting to come off and create texture on that figure. I like to support any of the loose bits with, bracing it with one of my fingers or something, because if you put too much pressure on some of these plastic models, they can snap. You don't want that to happen because then you got to stop what you're doing and repair. Look at this facial expression on this guy. It's almost like, let's let it focus there for a second. It's like an old Iron Maiden album cover. Or a new Iron Maiden album cover for that matter. All right, again, just a gentle top-down motion, creating this texture on this zombie. And you can see already that he's got the remnants of some pants. He's got quite a mop of hair, almost like a Beatles haircut or a Page Boy haircut, maybe. But he's a zombie, so he doesn't care about fashion, hairstyles. Looks like he's got something around his arm here, like an old bandage or something, maybe the remnants of a shirt. All these details start coming out when you apply this dry brush priming technique. Let's get the shield. There's a lot of good texture in the shield. His shield is a wooden shield, so you can definitely see some wood grain in there, some cracks, some gouges where other weapons have hit his shield, and he may have blocked them in life, or even in undeath. All right, so that black model now has kind of taken shape for us. Okay, so we're going to apply that same technique then to our mummy, who is here in he's clearly an extra dancer in the Thriller video. So he's got that Thriller pose. But we're going to catch all that texture of those bandages wrapped around his decaying mummified flesh with this technique. So again, just a little bit of paint on your brush and brush it out. So as we're doing this, as you may know, we're on the road to partner over at Elite Encounters. So if you're new to this channel or to Elite Encounters, be sure to give us a follow over there. And be sure to catch us live every Tuesday. For here, this channel is on the path to affiliate. So again, if you could click that follow button, I would certainly appreciate that. I am, in fact, probably next month going to announce some kind of giveaway or contest to drive some followers to try and get some activity out there for you guys and reward you for that through a giveaway. I'm probably going to paint up a mini and give that away to one of our lucky followers. All right, again, we want a top-down motion because we want to pretend that our light source is straight above this model, maybe a little bit at an angle, but more like a 12 o'clock high sun that is going to create the brightest highlights up top, and the shadows are going to be down beneath. That's called a zenithal or zenithal. I think zenithal is the proper pronunciation. You can also recreate a zenithal highlight using airbrush. A lot of people will solidly airbrush their model with the dark tone, which can be black, or you can use more earth tones like browns and things for flesh tone painting. In fact, I'm going to experiment with that with some of my own personal models with a brown dry brush. Hey, Pelican, good afternoon. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you swinging in. Just working on some Hero Quest horror themed models for this Halloween weekend, or Halloween week, I should say. Halloween is not on a weekend this year, it's on a Thursday, which kind of sucks because, everybody's got to go to work and then they got to rush home and get ready to hand out candy for the kids. At least that's what we're doing. No big time Halloween parties for us old folks, just handing out candy to the trick-or-treaters. I'll probably dress up to interact with the kids when they come up to the house. Speaking of trick-or-treating, just a quick little interaction while we're finishing up this dry brushing here. What was your favorite costume to go trick-or-treating in when you were a kid? I think my favorite one was when I was in fourth grade. My best friend across the street and I made our own costumes, and I created my own makeup effects and created a hunchback effect using a hoodie that I basically filled in the hood and tucked it under my collar and made a big gross hunchback, and then did some makeup effects on my face. That was a lot of fun. That was I loved doing makeup effects when I was a kid. Uh, and won a few costume contests actually as an adult with some of my makeup effects that I had done. But what was yours? Yeah, if only. Maybe my HOA would frown on that, though. I don't know if throwing bottles at the kids. Uh, if only I had some Elite Encounters business cards to throw in their trick or treat bags instead of candy bars. Then I would probably get my house egged. What do you think? Hey, hey, there's Evil. Welcome aboard, Evil. Sunshine, you had a homemade Splinter costume. That's pretty cool. How did you manage to pull that off? Okay. So again, I've got that gray mid-tone kind of set with this. I got a lot of coverage. The shadows are still pretty well defined. So now we're going to go in with a white primer to dry brush. All right, so let's see. A brown robe and a walking stick and a poster board mask. All right, that's pretty creative. That's pretty cool. Uh, you gotta love when people like use their own kind of artistic skills to bring something to life. It's a lot of fun. And I love seeing those kind of costumes that come to the door now that I'm a grown up. Evil, you're going as a farmer for Halloween. Okay, good, good. Yeah, breaking out of the mold and really stretching your chops, right? Sounds fun. Just put on like a little black hat and you can be Isaac from Children of the Corn, right? You can be the guy that brings the victims to He who walks behind the rows, right? But that's probably all been harvested, right? Do you do corn? And is the corn all harvested up now? And after it's harvest, right, you got to turn in the stalks, or am I just dumb? Sunshine was Children of the Corn. You just put on like a Holly Hobby costume and a knife, and there you got there you have it. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm really mixing up my white primer. Oh, okay, okay. Did you work at one of those haunted houses places like Hannah Haunted Acres or one of those places? You're still harvesting 2,000 acres left to go? Holy cow. All right, I didn't realize you had that much on your plate. That's a lot of land and that's a lot of work. And a lot of corn. Do you do mostly feed corn or is it food corn or a little bit of both or how does that work? Okay, okay. Awesome. Scaring the cousins. All right, so the white I'm applying now again with a top-down light dry brushing, and this is supposed to really bring out the highest highlights of your model. So you don't want to overdo it. Wherever you put a lot of white is where the model is going to end up being the brightest when we hit it with our speed paints, right? That's the technique we're going to use for most of these models is Army Painter speed paints. One of these days I might do something with my good old acrylic layer painting, uh, but that takes a lot of time. Okay, so we've got some pretty good texture there and some light and shadows on his back, his shield. And I mean that face, that facial expression. This brings out really a lot of detail in the model. And this is just a board game miniature, right? This isn't like super sculpted to high detail, but you can see it's got a lot of teeth in the mouth there. The nose is kind of rotted off. It's a pretty good, pretty interesting sculpt. He's definitely a lot more going on with him than I thought at first glance. So this will be fun. Okay, and now our mummy, thriller pose mummy. You can see his kind of tortured, anguished face. Yeah, that's a lot of equipment and a lot of work. Yeah, I don't envy you there. All right, so same thing with this, a lot of just top-down brushing to bring out the highlights on the figure, texture. This one's got a lot going on, but it's really going to be just a few colors, um, which will make this a really good illustration of how speed paints work for you. Um, in fact, I once I prime this up, I have 5 other ones to do for this board game, and I could probably knock out all 6 in an hour or two. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We drove out to do some hiking this weekend and went through a lot of fields that were already harvested or in the process. In fact, Saturday we actually saw one field in the middle of being harvested. Um, so it's kind of cool to watch. You didn't get to see a lot of it driving by, obviously, but it's pretty fascinating how some crops can be just kind of picked up and separated, and the harvest going into one place and the chaff going to somewhere else, and then other things have to be hand picked. It's pretty crazy to think of. Okay, I think we have some pretty good prime done here. So those of you who joined in a little bit later than start, just wanted to announce that we're working towards 50 followers here on the channel. So probably once we get into November, I'll announce some form of giveaway to reward everyone who's joined the channel and followed and helped support the channel. I'd like to give some of that love back to you and do a giveaway on some kind of painted miniature. I might do something that is kind of like the channel mascot, that beholder. I have a few of those still unpainted that I can paint up and do a giveaway. Yep, yep. Get yourself to a point where you can have some well-deserved time off, you will. That would be nice. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a fresh paper towel to work with my brushes now because I don't want to like clean my brushes on the dry brush paper towel. I'd get a lot of primer in my brush and that would be disgusting. So fresh paper towel, fresh paints, and let's get to work. All right, so for this guy, one of the things that I think is really cool about this figure right off the bat is this wooden shield. It's got quite a bit of texture in there. Obviously, it's got this metal shield boss, right? But the shield itself is definitely made out of wood and has a lot of texture to it on front and back. So we're going to hit that with some wood color. And this wood is probably rotting, right? This is a zombie, so he's probably been dead for some time, and his shield has probably been rotting right along with him for some time. So we're going to try and recreate that, and I've been looking at some other painters and what they do for some of their wood colors, especially with speed paints. And I've got a few recipes I'm going to play around with. It's not a big surface that we're going to work with here, so I'm going to use a very simple color here. I just got to locate it in my kit. A lot of times I'll have these colors picked out already, but today was a little hectic. Okay, so the figure we're going to use for this shield is called Desolate Brown. And this is a brown that has a little bit of a greenish hue to it. And the reason for that, it kind of pulls off kind of a rotting look. So for those of you who don't know, I'm almost always using Army Painter speed paints for these models. These are a one stroke, one coat solution to miniature painting that create your shadow, midtone, and highlight all in one stroke. And that's kind of represented here on this label is what they're trying to show you. These are acrylic pigments that are suspended in a flow improver medium that when painted over texture give that shadow and highlight uh, all in one go. Classic miniature painting, you start off painting in your midtones and then paint in your shadows or wash in your shadows sometimes, and then layer up your highlights until you reach a point where you think the model is popping enough to represent what you want. And to a tabletop standard or to a higher competition grade, um, speed paint gets you to a nice tabletop standard with one application. It is accentuated by this grisaille or slap chop prime, this underpainting that creates that accentuated shadow and highlight on your model to paint over. So when we use speed paints, we're almost always going to use, well, I always use a hard palette. And the reason for that is you don't want to use any kind of wet palette or anything that will further dilute your paints because they already have a really good flow improver in them. They do come with metal balls or mixing balls suspended in the bottle. So I always give them a good shake. And it gives a pretty loud rattle. So I would kind of do that away from the mic here, so I don't overwhelm the microphone with metal shaking. Oh, hey, Pauline. All right, so we're just going to get a tiny drop of our desolate brown. And I think we might play around with a little bit of this brownish decay uh, and mix the two together. Okay. When I'm painting with speed paints, I always use really inexpensive acrylic paint brushes. These are synthetic paint brushes, I should say. This is just a really cheap Golden Taklon detail brush that I picked up at a department store for super cheap. In fact, they come in little kits. All right. Pauline, are you happy with that color choice? What do you think? Okay, I agree. All right, see you later. Okay. So, okay, not that camera. It can't be up there. I have an open jar of water for cleaning off my brushes, and she is very much uh, interested in that right now. But she's not interested in this, are you? Usually this is her nap time, but I was gone at work all day today, so she hasn't had a chance to hang out with Dad too much before paint time. What do you think? Oh yeah. Okay. Whoops. All right, so we've got the front of the shield painted, and as that dries down, you'll see that texture start to show up in that wood grain. Same thing with the back, where he's got the leather strap that he's holding the shield with. And we're just going to rinse our brush out in some clean water and get all that paint out, dry it out in a paper towel, lick out all that excess paint. Okay. Yep, today was a pretty long day at work, so it's kind of nice to get home and relax to some painting. Yeah, I mean, we're just hanging out and painting miniatures, right? This isn't like I'm doing anything super important. It's just hobby time. And she's more than welcome to join. It's when she starts playing with my brushes and biting my brushes while I'm painting uh, that it gets a little much. You don't like that thumb shot? All right. Okay. I think for the hair, I'm going to kind of give him some gray hair. And for that, just a little bit of Grave Lord Gray will do us just fine. We just need a small drop of that in the palette. Oh no, yeah, that could cause a major problem. You don't want them doing that and destroying your tools. She also loves to play with my pens when I'm trying to work, and if I have like a pen that I'm like writing something with or taking notes in a meeting, she'll jump up and grab that pen and run away with it, play with it on the floor, even though she already has several pens on the floor to play with because she keeps taking them and I keep getting new ones out. And then she'll take it and I'll get a new one out. It's a vicious cycle. I think it's more the fun of stealing the pen than it is just playing with the pen she's got. All right, there's that hair. And now we've got a lot of skin to work with. Zombie skin. There's a number of different ways to approach this. You can have a greenish gray skin or a pale kind of icy blue skin. And I have a number of paints to consider. I don't know that I want to go with like a greenish gray. Um, hmm. He's trying to steal my brush again. Can't have it. I got to use it. I think for this zombie, I'm going to use a recipe I use for my ghoul flesh. Yeah, she luckily hasn't got a hooky tool yet. Just the brushing. When I do like ghouls, I use this kind of pale blue-gray color called Battleship Gray, and that kind of creates this kind of pale bluish gray skin. Looked pretty good on some ghouls I painted up earlier. I'm gonna try it again for this guy. You don't need a whole lot of paint, just a small drop in your palette. You can have it. All right, this will be the challenge painting with the cat on the lap. Can't have my brush. Trying to work here. Looks like he's got little pieces of his pants are torn, so we'll hit that with this color as well. You can hear the purrs over the mic. That's pretty funny. Hey, you can't help. You're not helping very much. It's not helping. It's like he's got a little bit where his scalp under his hair here is exposed. We'll hit that with this color. They can hear you, you know. You like trying to help? Hmm? Is this fun for you? And we'll hit the details of the face here. If we get a little bit in the eyes, that's okay, because we're actually going to paint in the eyes with real acrylics, but I'm going to try to avoid the mouth and just kind of easily hit the edges here with this color. Say that cat's purring is actually has a restorative properties, right? Like improves immune systems, helps accelerate healing. So I suppose if she's purring on Mike, that's actually maybe good for you guys out there listening. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Pauline? I bet you think it's just fine. Okay, one of his feet is bare. The other one has a boot on, so we'll make sure we get his foot here. And it looks like kind of a bluish blob right now, but as this paint dries down and goes into that slap chop prime, it's going to create that texture. Okay, so we'll let that dry over here and we'll think about what we want to do with our mummy. Clean out our brush, drawing more curiosity from the cat. You know what they say, Pauline. Yeah, see, there you go. It's some benefit, right? To have that purring away in the microphone while I'm trying to paint. You're having fun being a guest today. Mm, you must be having fun. Just trying to help and or steal my brush. Okay, for our mummy here, we're going to hit his skin that's underneath the wrappings. And for that, we're going to use kind of a brownish color to kind of reflect that those mummified remains. And for that, we'll use ruddy fur. That gives us kind of a reddish brown color. This is great color for like hobgoblin fur and that sort of thing. But this will work well for our mummy skin, that kind of desiccated, dry. You know, and you take the bandages off a mummy and it kind of has that brown color. Uh, that's what we'll do here. We don't need a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of this creature's flesh showing through these bandages. Ah, you know how hard it is to paint with you on my lap? Puppet? So right here, definitely in his kind of belly area, he's got some exposed, desiccated, dead flesh. We'll hit that with this brown. A little bit here behind the knee. And over here as well. Looks like some of his foot, his elbow here. While we're doing the flesh out here, I do want to point out that we do have a few new followers today. So I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel. I hope you're here watching. And if you are, be sure to say hi and chat. It's always nice to interact with the folks that are hanging out in the channel with us. All right, those are some kitty claws in my leg. It's like this wrist here is exposed, the palm of this hand, fingers. This is a pretty cool sculpt once these details start coming out. Okay, we've got this chin and neck here, shoulder, this knee right here. This guy's toes. Gotta have your toes hanging out of your wrappings, right? Nobody wants wrapped up toes in the afterlife or something. What do you think of the mummy there? Hmm? I'm just going to paint around the mouth because, again, we've got these teeth that we're going to probably paint with some simple acrylic paints to kind of create those teeth. We've got the top of the fingers here, thumb, and right here, these this one eye is exposed. Everything else is bandages, looks like. So I started with yeah, I'll probably do something similar and then probably hit it with a wash to accentuate that if the speed paint doesn't pull off what I want to pull off. And that's what I'm hoping works with the Slap Chop Prime with the speed paint. And I may, either if it's too dark, I may dry brush it up to a whiter color, or if it's too light, I may give it a wash. So we'll have to experiment. But yes, hit the nail right on the head there, Sunshine. That's the goal here is to create that. Ooh, oh wee, you really want that brush, don't you? Okay. Seriously? All right, retrieving the brush from the floor because she is now in full on attack the brush mode. We're having fun here. Okay, so yeah, we'll let that flesh on the mummy dry for a little bit. But yeah, Sunshine, you're definitely you're thinking ahead, and we're on the same page. So either a wash to darken it down or a dry brush to brighten it up, depending on the speed paint that we use here. And then the details are just going to be picking out the teeth and maybe putting some kind of effect in the eye, right? These things are animated by some kind of necromantic energy. So a lot of times like a glowing green or a glowing red or some kind of color to bring them uh, to sort of life, right? Make them die it alive, I guess, is the. Okay, back to our zombie. Hmm. I think on the boot here, we're going to probably make that a really dark brown. So for that, we'll use Satchel Brown for the boot. That's a really dark brown. If my kitten will let me. Okay, well, see, now I got no room to shake my bottle. Okay, just a tiny drop because I really just have that one boot to do with the satchel brown. I might, uh, probably don't want to do the leather strap in a shield, that same dark brown, because I'm going to want that strap to kind of contrast with what's going on with that dark wood. So I'm going to just use this for this one boot. So just right over that slap chop prime, around the back here. Right. So now he's got his one boot. Always be sure to clean your brush out between colors. Yeah, thank you, Pauline. Good job. Thank you. Okay. Now let's figure out what color to do his pants. We're going to want his pants to kind of contrast with the grayish blue of his flesh tones there. And got a few options, but one of my favorite colors to play around with is, let's see if I can find it here. Old mummified grime, which is a kind of a grayish green. I think that'll be a good color for the pants on this model. All right, let's give it a shake. Got to mix that medium up into the pigment, or the pigment into the medium. Okay. And we can apply this pretty heavily onto the pants because that under priming will give us all that shadow and highlight as that flows into the texture of the model. We'll look at that here closely in just a minute. If it pools up too heavy in one area while it's still wet, just use a brush to push it around and put that pigment where you want it to go. Make sure to not paint over where he got his exposed skin here in this rip. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Looks like we've got most of the, or all of the rotting pants area. So we'll let that dry down. All right, let's focus. All right, very cool. All right, so we'll go ahead and put him aside for now. Clean out our brush. I know what you're thinking. You're going to try and steal this brush. You already have a brush that you stole. Okay. No. All right, put this paint back. That's another joy of the cat getting up in your paint desk is you start getting cat hair in your paint if you're not careful. You don't want to let that dry in your paint because then you have little hair sticking out of your model, and that would look pretty silly. We don't want that. Okay. Oh, there we go. Chin scratches. Will that keep you from stealing my brush? All right, so back to our mummy. We've got the skin tones have seemed to start to really dry down, and that texture is pretty well set in there. So now we got to figure out our bandage color. A couple of options for the bandages that we can try. The first one is this pallid bone color, which we've used quite a bit on our skeleton models from our Wednesday show. That ends up kind of giving this skeletal color that you can see on this model here, like where the skull is. And if we do that, I have a feeling we'll probably need to dry brush it lighter. Or we can do this color, Howling Sand, which is kind of a pale tan. And if we do this, we might have to give it a wash. So I think what I'm going to do is go for Howling Sand because that fits a mummy, right? Way better than bone color. So let's try the Sunshine Theory, as we call it. It has the official name now, the Sunshine Theory. We're going to use a pale, kind of sandy color, this like linen-y, sandy color, and we might have to give it a wash to darken it down and make it kind of dirty and really pop those shadows. Okay, so again, we're going to really mix the pigment up in this guy. Right. Yeah, you can't go wrong with howling sand for a mummy, right? Speaking of spooky season, be sure to hang out tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern over on the Elite Encounters channel. Again, the link is down in my preferred channels, or just search Elite Encounters like you see up there in the banner. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m., we are going to have our 2024 Halloween episode. And, it seems pretty unsettling. We kind of are going into this area. We have some ideas of the kinds of monsters we might be facing, but it's always spooky when we hit this time of year. And our GM, our seer, as we call it in that campaign, definitely will have something in store for us. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, honestly. I mean, I am, but my character probably is not. But I have some new toys to play with heading into this particular encounter, so or series of encounters. So I'm looking forward to it. Uh, but I'm also scared because we might be getting in over our heads and getting into a situation where, uh, yeah, one of us may not make it out alive. Um, and that's the nature of the game we play. There is definitely the threat of potential character death. But hey, we're seventh level, right? So even if we die, we'll probably come back to life, right? Right? All right, I'm going to need a little bit more of this paint because I thinned it out with some medium. So when I say that, with the speed paints, you can use the actual medium with no pigment in it as a thinner, right? Paint thinner, a little diluent. Yeah, blowing them up. But I have some other tricks up my sleeve that we'll have to check out because Barnabas has been remastered. And when we're talking a remastered Alchemist, their formula repertoire uh, gets bigger in the remastering. Their ability to continuously have alchemical items is bigger in the remaster because of a new feature called Versatile Vials, which with just 10 minutes of downtime, I can scrape together enough material to create two new alchemical items that I didn't make that morning. So I start off with 10 in the morning, and throughout the day, every time I have a little bit of exploration mode, I can grab some stuff, basically harvest new reagents to make new versatile vials, which I can use to, and then immediately make new consumable alchemical items like my bombs. Or I can use as versatile bombs and throw them with a specific damage type that I choose. So lots of new flexibility. Okay, kiddo, let's round out the show with applying some of this howling sand. And then we're going to have to tell everybody goodbye because it's that time. Okay, let's do this on camera. Eloquim's always making sure that the model is in camera and not just my big old thumb, right? For taking up the shot. Okay, so this is definitely the color I'm looking for. Is it going to be the tone once it dries? We will find out next week. But as I apply this color, I think it's definitely the right color. And it's contrasting pretty nicely with that reddish brown flesh we painted in earlier. Yeah, thanks, Pony. What do you think, Pony? Is that spooky or what? Or not spooky? You just want to eat my brush. That's, you don't care. Okay, we'll take a little bit more care as we go around the face here with these bandages on the head. So I'm going to use my magnifying. This is a challenge. Magnifying lamp with a cat on your lap, trying to eat your brush. Surely not many painting shows out there have a lap cat trying to help slash steal your brush mid paint. Oh, no. No, see? It's not what we wanted. And this paint is, it's all non-toxic acrylics, right? So just suspended in the medium, but not something that you want to drink as a cat and or as a person. And there's a nice container of paint water over here to splash in that she's getting curious about as well. Never seen a kitten that loves to splash in water like this one does. All right, everybody. We are past the top of the hour here, so I'm going to continue to work on this particular mummy color. Uh, all right. Sunshine with some alchemical stuff. That'll be fun to see. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what all of these new characters have at now that we're level 7. I think a lot of our powers are going to dial in and you're going to see us really come online. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's not too deadly of an encounter on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Elite Encounters channel. Check it down there in my preferred channel links, recommended channel links. Be sure to catch that 6 p.m. live. And then Wednesday, I'll be back painting miniatures for the Psychic Promise campaign, Barnabas Brushes. So catch that at 5 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, while you're here, be sure to follow on our YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe here if you can and follow us over on the Elite Encounters channel. Subscribe if you can. You can support us on Patreon. And thanks, Pelican. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, everyone, being here. Thanks again to the new followers. I hope you're here watching. And if you are, thank you and welcome. And stay tuned next time or next week. And we'll talk about some kind of giveaway to push to 50 as we work for those 50 followers. In the meantime, I got to come up with a catchier phrase than that, right? You guys help me out with that. Maybe we'll think about a cool catchphrase for this push to 50 followers. Forward to 50 followers. Hmm. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. In the meantime, thanks everyone for coming by. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern on Elite Encounters. Have a good evening. Goodbye.